welcome to another episode of Confidence According to. I'm really excited to introduce you to today's guest. She's all the way on the other side of the world in the Northern Hemisphere, up in Sweden, and that is Fabiana Simoes. And I can't wait for her to share all that she's doing on her fantastic journey. So without further ado, I'm going to let her introduce herself and what it is she's actually doing for women all across the world. So first of all, thank you so much, Fabiana, for joining me here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Abigail. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to chat.
Thank you.
So I'm Fabiana Simoes. You pronounce my name perfectly. And I'm a anti-diet health coach. So my passion is to help women break free from dieting, which is such a harmful, it's actually not doing us any good. It's such a harmful, and physically, and psychologically, it's kind of a trap. It's really not doing us any good. So I help women break free from those patterns and really make peace with both food and their bodies, because that's something we all need to bring. I don't think you can have one without having the other. You really need to have both pieces in balance. And I'm helping those women, once they're in this place of freedom, they can find a way to feel their best and really find that vibrant, thriving, healthy self that they are craving and looking forward to be. But from a place of freedom instead of restriction, which is what dieting is all about. And I'm no, enough with that. We need something different. And I know a lot of women have that nagging voice saying that can't be, it has to be something else out there. And I'm here to tell them that there is. Yeah.
That is awesome. I mean, it's just so powerful. And I love that, the anti-diet. I just think we need to have more of this kind of all these conditioned ideas that we were just born into and we've just perpetuated, never really questioning. And so I think, trailblazers like you who are challenging the way things have always been done is exactly what women of the modern age are needing to elevate their confidence and show up in this world as their most authentic selves and really share their gifts, like you say.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big part of what's inspiring me. I know that from my own experience, growing up and as all of us, we're socialized in diet culture and diet society, because that's really it's not only about health, it's not only about science or whatever people want to believe it is. It's really there's a strong social component to it, and we're socialized into believing that there's something broken with us and that we need fixing, and that diet companies or diet products, those are the ways to fix ourselves, and that once we fix it, we're gonna have everything, the job, the partner, or whatever it is that we're looking for. And the reality is that it never is that fulfilling, and that's how the industry keeps rolling, right? It feeds itself, because we're never satisfied, because that's what it is. I mean, losing weight or living in that state of starvation or restriction, that's not key to abundance, and abundance of joy, and abundance of health, and abundance of success in life. And I've had so many experiences just in avoiding social events, or feeling unnecessarily insecure in professional interviews because of body image issues, or feeling really stressed at work, eating with other people, and will people judge my food? Am I judging my food? And all those things. So it really affects our lives in to the extent that we don't really realize, because it's so ingrained, it became such a normal part that we really need to be I'm anti-diet. We really need to take that stance and say, I'm breaking up with this, and this is no longer part of my life.
Beautiful. I just love that. That's such a strong message. And so tell us a little bit, about how you started on this journey. And first of all, you obviously don't sound Swedish. I'm sure people are surprised that you sound the way that you do. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, how it is that you came to be in Sweden, and how it came to be that you are on this journey of anti-diets.
Yeah. I moved here to Sweden about 5 years ago, and I moved here to be with my partner, now fiance. We got engaged recently.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, we met at a conference in Spain, which is kind of crazy. And back then I was not, we met 7 years ago, and I was not doing any of the health coaching stuff yet. I wasn't working with that actively. So I was like working with computers. I have a background in computer science, which is completely unrelated.
Wow.
But yeah, we met at a conference in Spain, and then we did the long distance cross ocean thing for a while, and then I decided to move here. So I've been here for a while now. So 7 years ago, I think Andreas, my fiance, he kind of experienced like a part of my journey. I definitely think that back then I had already made quite a lot of progress, but he definitely experienced like a lot of the shifts that I made in my mentality and my confidence and how I related to food and my body and all that. And I wish I could say that it was like an overnight thing, that that at some point I just said, enough with this. Now my relationship with food and my body are transformed, and I'm not doing this anymore. I know that a lot of stories that we see out there, there's like this turning point, this like big event that changes everything. And I think as I was saying before, I think we all have this voice in the back of our heads. Like every time we count calories, or we feel like, oh, I have to go to the gym because I had an extra donut today that I shouldn't have had, or that we start like struggling with those rules. We always wonder, is this how it's gonna be all the time? Like, is food something that I have to either like resist all the time or like endure because it's boring? It's the boring salad. It's like the crackers with I don't know, like a little sad spread of butter. Like that. So it's like, do I have to endure or resist this? And there's nothing in between. And for me, it was like this for many years. Like in my teenage years, it was like this already. And I grew up like really obsessed with those thoughts. I grew up with a mother who was really like concerned about food and health and vanity too. So I also think she also had a lot of like misconceptions that we know the people still quite a bit, like it's still not like as widespread as I would like, but we know more and more that weight is not necessarily an indicator of health. That like what is an indicator of health is self-care, it's happiness, and it's like having health promoting behaviors. It's not your weight. You can be healthy and you be in a larger body and a smaller body, and you can also be unhealthy in both kinds of bodies. But back then my mother didn't. I think my mother now sees more of those things, especially since I've been doing this work. But back then she was very much into like, oh no, I have to be thin, and the thinness to be healthy, and I want this for my daughter. And of course it was all from a loving place, but I was just a kid. So for me, I had my mother really concerned with that. And I was also I was doing competitive swimming back then when I was a kid, and then as a teenager too. And I also had like my teammates being concerned with my body and my coaches being concerned with my body. So I had like all those people around me who were like, everyone had something to say about my body. And everyone had an opinion about how I was eating or how I was exercising or how I should be looking, if I was big enough, or was smaller enough, or muscular enough, and things like that. And I had no say in that because everyone else had, like, it was all those voices around me.
Yeah.
So it took a long time for me to be able to break free from those voices one at a time, kind of like cultivating my own vision of wellness, and really give myself the permission to listen to that voice that kept telling me like, you deserve better. Like, this is not how you want to live your life. Like, you want to live your life with more freedom, with more joy, with less worry, with less stress, being more relaxed. And like, I think year after year and month after month, I kind of like decided, yeah, maybe you're onto something there. Maybe there is another way. And I think it was slowly, like, it was a very slow journey of like rediscovering all the different pieces of wellness. Like, oh, your weight is not defining, and like your weight doesn't define your worth, doesn't define your health. And here's what actually matters about nutrition. Like, stop getting distracted with all the fasting and the new superfood and the new supplement and this and this and that. Stop getting distracted with those like small rocks that diet culture keeps telling you, and like focus on like the big elements. It's like sleep, getting good sleep and getting good rest, and like getting more vegetables in your recipe and in your meals, and learning to cook better and things like that. So like focus on the big rocks. And it was a long journey because I had to like find those pieces in different places and kind of put it together. which is the big reason why I do what I want to, like what I'm doing now is I want women to have like a lot less work putting those things together and like really coming to a place of confidence and empowerment in their lifestyles.
Yeah. And so how is it that you actually, what does it look like when you are helping your clients get onto this anti-diet, lifestyle? Because it is it's not a program. It's, I imagine it's not a quick fix thing. It's a lifestyle choice. So what does that look like? How are you helping them change the way they approach their eating habits?
Yeah, I think the first part for like most of my clients is like getting rid of the diet mentality, because as we were talking about before, like that's really ingrained in our thoughts, and sometimes we think we're not dieting, but we still have dieting thoughts, and we let like those dieting thoughts like lead or make decisions for how we're eating. So like you might not consider yourself in a diet, but maybe you think that you have to compensate a bigger meal with exercise or with a smaller meal or things like that. So we have to be really like start paying attention to the ways that like dieting mentality is still interfering with your eating choices. Because what I want to do is like bring all my clients to a place where they feel they trust their bodies and they trust their intuition and they trust the signals that are like the biological signals that their bodies are sending them and telling them, it's like, I'm satisfied, or here's what I'm craving, and there's a reason I'm craving this. And so we do a lot of work to get women to this point where they trust those cravings, because right now most women don't, right? It's like, oh, those cravings, and they feel like they have to fight the craving. And all those things, those are messages from our bodies that our bodies have like the best intentions for us. Like it really wants us to thrive. It's not against us. It's not fighting against us. It really wants us to feel the best it can. I was thinking about this a lot this weekend because I got like a bad cut in my feet, and I was like jumping around the house on one foot and things like that. And then I was like, a couple of days later, I was just so surprised, like how quickly that had healed, and how much easier it was, and how much less pain I was feeling. I was like, yeah, my body is really working here for me. My body is really like, it's doing all it can to protect me and to make me heal and to make me perform at my best. So I think once we're able to shut down all those voices from dieting and diet culture, then we are able to start thinking about how can I listen to my body and really relearn, because this is something we're all born with. We're all born with knowing how to eat. Like if you look at babies, babies cry when they're hungry and they don't eat beyond what they want, and they stop when they're satisfied. And they have kids have really strong preferences. This is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I feel like eating. Like this weekend I saw on Instagram, it was a photo of a kid, and it was like a lollipop and like a banana, and the kid was like, I don't even care about this lollipop right now, I'm just eating this banana because it's just like, this is what I want right now. And they really listen to their bodies, because they haven't yet been socialized into diet culture and let this really clouds their signs of their body and the cues and signals that their bodies are sending. So, and then we can get to a point that those women, they start listening and trusting their bodies again.
Yeah.
Of course, there is a lot of like nutrition. I mean, nutrition science exists. It's real. It's relevant. But diet culture has turned nutrition science into a tool that they use. Like they take nutrition ideas from nutrition sciences and they use those ideas to sell products, and to like, it's misused. Those ideas are misused. So I do teach different relevant concepts of nutrition science to my clients, but we want to be using them from a place of self-care, of self-love, instead of self-control. And I think the other component, and the third component that I would say, is really bringing the self-love component to it, because we don't want to condition our love, like for ourselves and our acceptance of ourselves, to any outcomes, or like we're not any less lovable or worthy or enough because we ate this instead of that, or if we did not exercise, or if we decided to take a walk instead of going to the gym, or I don't know, if I'm bigger or if I gained weight, like it doesn't make you any more or any less. So you have to find that unconditional acceptance of yourself.
Yeah. And I'm sure that, you know, like you say, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's a slow process. It's a slow transformation of getting to that point. Now, and I'm sure you see it with your clients now as well. How do you manage the challenges that come up along the way of, you know, because this old conditioning is wanting to keep coming back in there. The ego doesn't want to let go of this idea. So what do you like, how do you keep your momentum going and keeping you on track, and you know, keeping the confidence up, and believing that this route, this new route that you are going, is going to lead to a healthier you?
Yeah, I think, so what is a diet? A diet is a set of rules that tells you what you can and you can't do, or what you should and you shouldn't do. And it says like, you're good if you do this and you're good if you do that. I think when I broke up with dieting, I wasn't only breaking up with having someone or a plan or whatever tell me like, this is how you should eat or this is how you should exercise, but I was breaking up with having people telling me how I should live my truth. And I was breaking up with this idea that there were rules and that was good and that was bad and there was nothing in between. So I didn't want to have my anti-diet become another diet. And I think that was the biggest mindset shift. It was like progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And I still have bad days. I still do. I help a lot of women with emotional eating. Like, do I not eat emotional at times? Of course I do eat emotionally, because it's only natural, and food is emotional, and food does bring comfort. So of course I still experience that. Of course I still have bad body days. It doesn't mean that I always love my body, like, because, you know, I just accept it. I just accept that, oh, I'm having a bad day, but that's just a bad day. And that's how it is. Some days are bad days. And so I think that the big shift is also finding that self-compassion. And I think the self-compassion is really the foundation of any like self-development work. And I really do think that breaking up with dieting is a self-development, big work. You really have to give yourself permission to be in the gray. It's not black and white. Live in the gray, and there's no good and bad foods, and there's no good and bad exercise, and there is no right way to be anti-diet or wrong way to be anti-diet. And, you know, and also be understanding, as I was saying, it's only natural that sometimes those thoughts will come. Sometimes you will look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I like this. And it doesn't define you. Like, those moments, they're not defining you. Like, it's what you do on a regular basis. It's how you decide to live on a regular basis that is what counts. It's what matters. And when we say it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. A lifestyle it's not perfect. It just happens. It changes. And some days you do this and some days you do that. And if you consider, I don't know, like a business owner lifestyle, like, it doesn't mean that that's the only thing they are. And it doesn't mean that they succeed at having a business all the time, or it doesn't mean that they fail at having a business all the time. It's just something they do, and it shows up a different way. So I think being self-compassionate and flexible, it's really foundational for going in this journey and staying, like, forgiving yourself, like, and okay, this was not a good day, and tomorrow is a better day, and that's how it is.
I love that, how you describe that about living, like, being okay with living in the gray area. I think that's really something we are so unfamiliar with, that it is either or. We think that it's either or, but we need to become more comfortable with being in the and, like the and of it all, this and that, that it is a gray area, like you say. And it's so heartening as well to hear that you still have your off days, you still have your down days. And I mean, I feel that as well, that, on this journey of elevating women's confidence, helping women elevate their confidence, I'm talking about this stuff and teaching this stuff, but it's not to say that I'm confident all the time either. We have that. And so when you have your off days, when your confidence is feeling a bit low, do you have any kind of things that you do, any rituals or any practices or a go-to activity that helps lift your energy, lift that vibration, and to help you get back onto the track, so that the next day you're up and at it again?
Yeah. For me, I'm usually a fast speed. I'm like 1,000 ideas, 1,000 things going on, and doing different things at the same time. So when I'm having, for me, the big trap when I'm having a bad day is like getting out of autopilot, because autopilot just like snowballs, right? So you have one bad thought, and that leads to another bad thought, and another bad thought, and then like and it becomes this big gigantic thought that you're like, oh, I'm terrible, everything sucks, I can't do anything. And it all started because you couldn't, I don't know, cut an onion right or whatever. So because those things, they escalate like really quickly. So for me, the biggest thing I can do when I'm not having a good day is take a break, and really like give myself space to breathe and to not feed those thoughts. Because when I, most of the time when I like calm myself and I look back and I look at those thoughts, it's like so many assumptions that I cannot verify that like build, like whenever you take it to the next step and make it worse, like there's like whatever is in the middle here, it's a lot of assumptions that you cannot verify, and that you can't like, is this really true? Is this, can I say that this is really what always happens? And I see this a lot with the women in our work. It's like, oh, if I eat one cookie, I will always eat the whole package. Like, so you're telling me that never in your entire life you had the moment where you ate one cookie or 3 cookies, but not the entire package. And or like, oh, I can't like not eat, like when I'm stressed I will eat, and I can't stop to think about it. It's like, oh, every time that you were stressed, like every single time did you eat? So there is a lot of those assumptions that we make that are really in the black and white, and that we just take for granted, and we jump into the next step, and then we go for the next one and the next one. So if you slow down, and for me that's a big thing, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling like a failure at work today, I'm gonna close this laptop and go do something else. And sometimes what I need is a meditation break, and just clear my head and give it a blank slate, and really erase those thoughts, and like, okay, can we start again, instead of like letting it build up one on top of the other. And sometimes it's just doing something entirely different, and maybe that's watching TV or going for a walk or going exercise or something like that. So it really, I think, slowing down, and like when you catch yourself going the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, it's like, I like when I have my bad days, when I'm like, oh, I'm stress eating today, oh, I'm a failure, why am I helping people why am I helping women eat, because I'm stress eating, and blah blah blah, why should I be doing what I'm doing, oh my god, then I won't have a job, and then I won't have a family, and then I'm gonna live in the street or whatever it is. And then this thing, this massive thing, and just like, just okay, take it down a notch, take a break. And for me, it's not like even, okay, breathe and relax and catch it up again. For me, it's like really cut it at the source and do something else and meditate. And really, there's awareness of our thoughts. Our thoughts really define how we feel. We think that how we feel define our thoughts, but it's really the other way around. Like, it's every feeling that we have, it originates with a thought. And we can change the way we think. We can change the way we feel. And I think we have all experienced that we looked at a situation at a different moment and we see it in a different angle. And maybe it's more suiting for us, and it fits better and it works for us. So if I have the freedom to choose my thoughts, I might as well choose the ones that are serving me best. So I think whenever I find myself in thoughts that are not serving me, like, oh, I'm getting stressed, I'm getting insecure. It's like, okay, I choose those thoughts now, but I don't have to. I might not be right now in position to choose different ones, but I'm just going to take a break and do something else. And then we'll see if I can come up with something else. And I think that's when it helps a lot also to work with a coach, because sometimes we are really trapped in those and we can't see it differently. We can't really see things from another angle. And it really helps to work with someone who has this experience of like, but look at this other angle, or look at this other strategy, or look at this other way of seeing the situation, or, you know, it really helps to have someone who has the experience of navigating this ladder of thoughts with you.
And when it comes to your thoughts, then, like you say, you get to choose your thoughts. And so there's, in the personal development field, there's all of these different techniques to help you get to that clearer thinking. And you mentioned meditation already. Do you use affirmations or mantras or anything like that to help you get your thought back in line?
Yeah. Meditation for me is a good one for getting to that blank slate state. It's like really get out of your head and into your body. And for me, it really helps like with body scans, or, really focusing on the breathing exercises, like counting and things like that. It really helps to get out of my mind and into my head. I really enjoy journaling.
Okay.
I think journaling is really powerful, especially when we're on autopilot. Like, we don't notice things, but when we're writing the things that are going in our head, we gain awareness of what is going on. So it's not just like running in your head. It's like, sometimes you have like this brilliant idea and or you have a dream and you wake up, oh, I had the solution, and you don't remember anymore. Or you're like, oh yeah, I have this blog post and I'm going to write it like this. And this sounds beautiful. And then when you're like, oh yeah, what was it? Because, the mind just runs it and it goes and goes and goes and goes. So when you're writing, you actually gain awareness of the words that are flowing in your mind. So I think that's a really powerful tool to put that thing on a break. It's like, oh, I'm going to write this. Is this really true? Because it suddenly becomes it gains weight when you have to put it on paper. Like, do I really want to write right now that I'm a failure? And because I don't know, because I just ate a cupcake because I was a little stressed, I'm going to live in the street in the end. So it's like, and then you realize it's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. This makes no sense. So I really enjoy journaling in that respect. So I think those are the good tools for me to get me out of a bad funk. This is not getting out of a rut. That's not working.
Yeah.
And then for me to this brings me more to a neutral state, I think. And I definitely like affirmations to bring me more to a more positive state and more looking forward state. But I do think that you have to believe what you're affirming yourself. It doesn't help if you say, if you're really struggling with self-confidence or with body image, it doesn't say, oh, I love my body all the time. But it helps if you say, I am learning to love my body. Or if you're really struggling with your food choices, it doesn't help to say, oh, I always make balanced food choices. You're like, I'm in the process of learning how to take care of my body or how to nourish myself. It has to be something that you believe. So that you can build on top of that in a more positive way. And it's the same process of building on top of it, but it's in a better foundation. It's in a foundation that is not actually going to serve you.
Yeah. That your ego doesn't come up and say, you're just lying to yourself. This doesn't work because it's all fake. You're a fake.
Exactly. You can't fight back with that. But I can definitely say, oh, I am definitely learning this. I'm trying my best to learn this. I'm not perfect right now, but I'm in the process of doing that. So if that's something you can believe, that's good. If it's not, back to the drawing board and you come up with a different affirmation.
I think that's wonderful advice. It's very, I think affirmations have gotten a bad rep over the years because people are like, oh, well, you must just say the positive words and then you'll feel more positive. But like you say, you have to actually believe it. And if that means having to tweak the affirmations or whatever to get it to a point where you do believe it, then that's where they become valuable.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Awesome. And so now I imagine, I don't have any kids, so I don't have a direct, frame of reference, but, with the social media world that we live in and the prevalence of, just images that are being uploaded constantly. I know when I'm on social media, going through Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, it's very easy to get caught into the comparison trap because you see all of these beautiful women with beautiful bodies living healthy lifestyles, seemingly to have everything sorted and sussed, and then you kind of reflect and see, well, my life and my body looks nothing like that. And then that's coming from me as a nearly 40-year-old. I can just imagine what younger girls are experiencing and how they are developing a self-perception based on what they are seeing online. What advice would you give to a young girl who clearly has low self-image, low self-confidence, what would you do? What would you say to her to help her at a stage in her life where she's really impressionable and is under, I imagine, a lot of pressure from what she is consuming in the online space?
Yeah, I think it helps to show people a different way, like especially at a young age. It really helps you, like it's easy to believe everything you see and take that as the only truth and the only way to be. So if you're like, if you know a young girl, it really helps to show them examples of beautiful women in larger bodies or in different kinds of bodies or in disabled bodies, you know, like or women that they're not even beautiful but just doing amazing work, and like they are relevant and they're special and they're strong and they're empowered in different ways other than just because of the way they look. So I think it, like, diversity is something that you really have to bring to attention, is like really knowing that there is different ways to be beautiful, and that being beautiful is not the only thing that you should be aiming for. I mean, it's of course important that you love the way you look, like because you like just because you're comfortable in your own skin and you accept that. But it's also like when I think there's a misconception when we talk about self-love, in that people believe it's like just waking up every day and like gushing over yourself and like, oh my God, I'm so perfect and beautiful. But it's like, it's not like, that's not what self-love means. Like self-love means like giving yourself unconditional like permission to be, like, and unconditional permission to be means you have strong features and qualities, and you have things that you don't like so much and weaknesses too, and it's fine to have both. And you're accepting of both, and you know that, you know, it's different for everyone else, and that there's no better and worse, there's no better strengths and not like worse weaknesses. It's just a big mix and we're all different. So for younger girls, like bringing variety to the center, like enable like diversifying their options, like of role models, and like being able to look for other things. It's like when I was younger, I was like, I couldn't see anyone beyond weight, because that was the only thing I could see, and the only like role model that was being fed all the time, like by the women around me and by the media and by swimming and all that. So that was the only thing being fed to me. It was like, oh, this is the thing that matters. And if you show like younger women that there's other things that you can be beyond beautiful, and that you can be beautiful in so many different ways, I think that's huge. And another thing is, when we're struggling with comparison in social media, I think it's remembering that you're comparing your everyday to someone else's highlight reel.
Yeah.
So, and we're all curating our lives in social media. We're only showing the best days. So if you're going to compare anything, compare your best day to their best day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend comparison at all, because that's just, it's a nasty cycle that doesn't really come, like it doesn't bring anything good. But if you're going to compare your best to their best, because that's what social media is. It's really, it's people showing their best day and their best meal and their most beautiful morning bowl, or their most like perfectly shot, you know, bikini, like in the beach or whatever. So, and God knows how many, like the more and more like people are coming out and saying, oh my God, it took so many tries to get this perfect shot in this, and it's insane. So it's just realizing that what you're watching there, it's like watching television. It's not real. It's very curated and trimmed and perfected to look in a certain way.
And if you were 5% kinder to yourself, you know, because we've all got areas for growth. And I think, you know, that's the big lesson here is that life is about growing into the truest version of you. So if you were 5% kinder to yourself starting tomorrow, what would you start doing differently?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I think I'm usually unnecessarily critical of myself. it's especially like from a professional standpoint, it's hard for me sometimes to give myself credit for the things I'm doing right. And I think kindness for me would show up in terms of praise and allowing myself to claim the things that I do well. I think a lot of people, when we talk about kindness, they almost always focus on, oh yeah, I'm going to give myself permission to fail. And I think that's really important. It's definitely important to give yourself permission to fail, because there's really no failure. It's all like, didn't work out. What can I learn from this? It's all learning experiences. I think that's the most productive way to see that. But for me, I think, and I think for a lot of people too, it's finding permission to give yourself praise. And like, when you do good, acknowledge it. Like, we're so good at like telling other people, you did great today. This was amazing. Like, the thing you said was really, really important. Or that work you did was beautiful. Or, you know, we are so quick to give people permission to succeed and to be great and to be, you know, awesome. But we are so conservative and so restrictive with that when it comes to ourselves. Or at least a lot of people are. And I know that I definitely am.
Yeah.
So I think if I was 5% kinder, I would definitely give myself permission to give myself praise. Yeah.
And so along those same lines as well. So if now you put these into action about giving yourself praise and about, you know, celebrating your wins, because in the journey of becoming a more confident you, I always talk about, you know, you've got to celebrate the small wins, and it doesn't matter how small. Don't wait for the big milestone. Don't wait for the big goal. Celebrate the small wins along the way. So how would you celebrate yourself?
Ooh, that's a great one too. I think that's something I've been doing, especially with my clients and also the women in my community. I think I've been trying to get everyone in the habit of celebrating every win. And as you say, I think that's really important. That's something I do for my clients. It's like, well, I celebrate everything, because that's how you keep yourself motivated and high vibe and like willing to keep doing it. So I've been definitely giving myself more. I think the gratitude practice is really important. And I really like to phrase it. And I think sometimes we think like gratitude is always like, oh, I have to be grateful that I have a meal today. And sometimes people, when they look about gratitude, it comes from that place of lack. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm so grateful that I have food today, or I'm so grateful that I have my job because I could have no job. It's sometimes it comes from that place of lack. And I think I've been trying to really think in terms of more appreciation. What is it that I appreciate today? Or I appreciate that my body heals itself, and that it does it quickly, and it's doing its best. Or I appreciate that I showed up bravely for my community today. I appreciate that, I don't know, other people said something nice or something kind, or, you know, that my cat was extra cuddly today. So, and extending that to myself too. I like appreciating the things that I've done right too. And I think that bringing this different perspective to my gratitude practice, which is something that I've been not super consistent with, but definitely getting more and more consistent with. I love doing it with the bullet journal. It's just like doing it in the first thing in a day, and it's 3 things, and I don't give myself a lot of time to think, and it doesn't have to be a thing. It can be a feeling that I'm appreciating, or, you know, I don't know, something someone said or something I said. Sometimes you think, oh, that thing I said resonated really well. That sounded like that was sharp, and like giving myself permission to appreciate those things and having a prompt every day to do it. So I do this first thing in the day, and I appreciate things. And a lot of times it's things other people did or things that happen. And a lot of times, more and more, it's things that I've done myself.
Yeah.
So bringing that kind of twist to gratitude, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned now about your community. So where does your community hang out? And, you know, so my audience is mostly Cape Town, South African based. Are they able to join your community? How would that work if they wanted to find out more?
Yeah, absolutely. So because I'm a tech geek, I'm all about the internet, and I'm all about, you know, hanging out online. I also I was a geek since I was a little kid. So I've had like internet friends since I was very young. So I didn't like three of my closest friends. They are friends that I've met online. So I really love connecting with people online. And I love having the opportunity of meeting people from all corners of the world. And now in this phase of my life and my business, helping people from all corners of the world. So we hang out online a lot. So I'm on Instagram, on Instagram.com/Nourish and Prosper. That's like where I'm sharing, and I'm hanging out with a lot of people there and building connections. But most of the time I'm in the Facebook group, and that's the Food Freedom Tribe. We're about like almost 350 women there, and I'm in there every day, sharing tips and sharing knowledge and sharing experience, and also all the women in there are sharing too and giving each other support and advice. So that's really exciting to be able to connect with women that are going through the same, like, I think that's a really important part of support, and like that's a really component that we often goes overlooked. Like we talked a lot about accountability, but I think support and having someone to cheer you up when you're struggling or to give you a different idea, I think that's a really important thing. So going through this with a lot of people that are going through the same and walking the same path as you is really powerful, which is why I have the group there, because I think it's a private group. So it's like, it doesn't show like on Facebook that it shows for everyone. It shows for friends, it shows for family. So when it's a private group, it doesn't show to anyone. So it's like a safe space for you to share with other people that are on the same journey. So, and that's on Facebook. I think you're going to probably put the link somewhere below
or there. We'll just cover all our bases and just point everywhere.
Somewhere around here. The link is going to be there. And it's Food Freedom Tribe. You can search for that on Facebook too.
Okay, fantastic. And that's free for anybody anywhere in the world.
Yes, okay. Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. And if the ladies watching this wanted to take you up on your services, if they wanted some one-to-one help, how are you able to help them? What does that look like?
Yeah, so right now I have a 6 month for coaching one-to-one, because diets don't work in part because they're short-term changes, the short-term results. It's like a 30-day, I don't know, jumpstart, or like a 21-day cleanse, or whatever it is. It's short, and if you want to see consistent changes, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of things that we have to undo. So I really want to work with women who are like 6 months, and we're gonna see huge transformations here. So that's what I do one-to-one, and I'm gonna be launching this month a group coaching program. So that's going to be for 12 women, and I want to keep it a small group so that we have really that safe space for having everyone like able to share and like and contribute their own story and their own like struggles and successes and all that. And that's going to be I'm still deciding on the name, but the goal is to take women from finding like this freedom from dieting, so really like getting clarity on all the ways that dieting is affecting their choices and decisions, and understanding like diet culture and fat phobia and weight stigma, and how does weight actually affect health and things like that, and then really working to empower them. That's the second part of the program. That's going to be 90 days in total. The second part is leading them to finding their own brand of wellness. So I don't believe that following someone else's meal plan or diet exercise plan or whatever plan it is works long-term for anyone. So you have to find your own brand of wellness. It's like you have to learn to fish instead of like getting the fish from someone else. And that's what I teach you in the second part. So that's something I'm launching this month, and I'm super excited to work with 12 awesome ladies who are ready to ditch the diet and really create their own wellness, own their wellness in this 90-day program. And that you're going to be able to find if you sign up for the mailing list, and the link will be somewhere here too.
Somewhere around here.
Yes.
And second last question, what does confidence mean to you?
I think confidence means acceptance for me. And it's acceptance of as we were saying before, of what's strong and what's weak, and what we love and what we don't like so much, and being fine with that, and knowing that you're not any less worthy, or that you're not enough or not broken because of that. So confidence is living in your truth, and living in your truth is, all what is that is authentic to you, and not all authenticity is great. It doesn't come smoothly. Some of it is a bit rough, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
So I think confidence for me is really this unconditional acceptance of yourself, and knowing that you're not broken or less, or or better, for the matter. If you really love everything about yourself, you're not better than anyone because of that. So
yeah,
I think that's what confidence is for me.
Awesome. I love that. Okay. And then last question is, what is one quirky or interesting or funny habit that you have that maybe your audience doesn't even know about? What's one Fabiana funny habit?
Yeah. So this is something. I am a stress cleaner. When I'm stressed, I go around cleaning things.
Oh my goodness.
It's really weird.
I need you in my life.
I go around organizing. It's like I'm going to put all the books on the bookshelf down, and I'm going to organize things, or I'm going to vacuum. It's like, makes absolutely no sense. And like my fiance, when he sees me cleaning, he already asks like, is everything okay? Do you want to talk about
Oh, that's fantastic. That's like, of all the habits you could have when you're stressed, that's got to be the best one.
I know.
I love it.
I don't know, there's something therapeutic to cleaning, I suppose. I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your time, your attention, and all your valuable advice here today, Fabiana.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to have your see your perspective on the world of dieting, and I'm gonna go forward and share this anti-dieting message. I think it's something that's so important to break away those conditions that we've been subjected to. So here's to a new way of living life, and a new lifestyle.
Yes, cheers to that. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to chat. It was really fun. And I'm excited to keep sharing this. And also thank you so much for all the work you're doing and empowering us to feel more confident too. That's also really needed, because we're always told that we're less and not enough. So being confident is really important.
Yes. Well, I think together we're on similar missions. Our methodology is different, but the ultimate goal is exactly the same. And I salute you for being a fellow confidence crusader. So thank you so much.